Hi, it's Janice, and this is day 17 of 100 Days of Code as I'm learning the Python programming language. And as always, this video is to track my progress and hold myself accountable. So on day 14, I briefly went over defining functions, and that's simply when you're going to use the keyword def for definition. You would give your function a name. So let's say if I want to give it the name greeting, and then you make sure that you have your colon here. You'll see that it indents it. So this is going to be the block of code that's triggered when I call this function. So let's say when I call that function, it's going to print out hello. And then now I would just call the function by typing it. And if I execute this code, you can see that it triggered that function. Okay, so there are times when you actually need to input information or pass data through your function. And so you would do that by inserting a parameter inside the function. So let's say I want to specifically pull information from a user, whatever user comes on to this application, and I want to include their name in that greeting. Okay. So when you define the function using a parameter, you're going to make sure that you also include it when you call, because if not, it's going to trigger an error and let you know that the argument is missing. So this says line 6, your argument user is missing. Okay, so the information that passes through the parameter is known as the argument. So I have to include that. Okay, but since I have this variable here, I also need to define the variable. So I want this to be input, and I want the user to input to choose a username. Let's say like that. Okay, so this is how I would set that up. When I run it, it prompts me to choose a username. I enter it, and then it greets me by triggering the function, the data that I placed inside this print function. Okay. Something else to keep in mind when working with functions with input or defining functions altogether is to include documentation strings to tell what it's about. So you would do so by using a triple single quote or a triple double quote. So, and then you would type in what your function is about. So we'll say greeting the user. Okay. And this will not print out, but this is helpful information because you can actually pull your documentation when you're compiling your code as a HTML document to use when you're referencing your code. So this is always helpful. But if I run this again, you can see that it doesn't print out. It still executes my function.